welcome to Steve McDonald's Crafting, and today I'm going to be making another little cement sculpture out of Portland cement. Now I found this silhouette of this little girl running, so I think it will go up kind of that sort of angle. I've cut it out and I'm going to attach it to this piece of packaging foam that came with something. I'm going to use good old Pritt stick for this because it'll attach to this lovely. So, oh look, it's nearly run out, my Pritt stick. So what I'm going to do is put a bit of Pritt stick on this. I must have had this about 500 years. This that might be an exaggeration. I must have had this Pritt stick about 15 years. Lasts so long, it's great glue. Oh look, I pulled its leg off. I think it's because my glue's getting a bit too much, but that doesn't matter at this stage, having a leg pulled off. Well, I suppose it matters having a leg pulled off at any stage. But so I'm going to attach this to my foam, making sure I've got a good enough border, doing a bit of surgery and popping my leg back on. And then I'll leave that to dry really for about 5 or 10 minutes before I cut round it. Now when I cut round it, I will cut round it using a brand new blade because it cuts round really easily. And the other thing is, I like the foam better than the polystyrene because it doesn't kind of break up into little balls. It is much easier, I find, to cut. If I've only got polystyrene, then I will use polystyrene. Now this is stuck on there. All I need to go do is go round it with my knife. Now the great thing about this foam is, rather than having to do a sawing action, which is what you have to do with polystyrene, because polystyrene is a little bit thicker, you kind of have to do it like this, which is difficult to get around the edges, or you have to keep going like this. With the foam, if you've got your knife is sharp enough, you can just cut through it by moving your knife like that. I'll go round this, getting as close to this as I possibly can, and then I'll push this out. Remember, we do need to keep this bit here, so let's cut that out because that's an important, integral part of the final mould. There, so that is a really important piece to keep. Now we've got that cut out, as you can see, I've taken that bit out. I need to put it onto something to be able to now cast this. Now I use this piece of cardboard. It's just covered in packing tape. I've used it loads of times for this. And I will glue that onto there. And I will use the double-sided tape for this. I'll pop double-sided tape along. Doesn't have to be really exact because the cement that we're going to use is not a runny cement by any means. It's just to keep this flat and to get a better cast. And now I've got that all on there. I need to pop that on there. You don't need any mould release or anything like that. It will come off there really easily. Make sure that bit's in, really important. And then you also need to make sure that you put this bit in where it belongs as well, which is right there. And I'm going to glue that down using a little bit of my good old Pritt stick. Yeah, I'll leave that for about 5 or 10 minutes just to settle out while I mix up my concrete and put my glitter in. Now I want the glitter to stay on the face of this. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, spray a little bit of water in there. And obviously this isn't resin or anything like that, so the water isn't going to harm it at all. And then sprinkle my glitter over the top of that. Now I'm going to use silver glitter and a chunky-ish one as well. And then I'm going to let that dry, and that will help that glitter to stick to that board. I'm also going to put some in the concrete, and I'll also sprinkle some over the top once it's done. Now it's time to mix up my cement. Now I'm using a white cement. It's very different to plaster of Paris because plaster of Paris is a lot softer. It's made of gypsum, where this is made of limestone and another ingredient that I can't remember. I've got my cement in there. It's probably more than what I need, but don't forget I also want to fill this mould. I've got some chippings that I used in that chopping board, if anyone saw that video. If not, check it out. I'll link it at the end of this one. It's worth watching. All you need to do is add some water to this. I like to add enough water to make it into a thick, creamy paste. I do this by eye. I've done it a lot, so I kind of am used to it, but you can do it by weight as well. And I always pour my water into my cement and give it a good mix round. If you haven't mixed up enough, it really doesn't matter because you can add some more to the top of it, but make sure that you've got it well mixed so there's no powder left in it. See, to me that's the perfect consistency. And all I do is plop that into there, but I'm going to use a bigger scraper. On top of my glitter, and some of that will sink into here and others will stay on the surface, which will give it a really nice sparkly finish. And making sure I've got it everywhere. Now these areas where the hands are and where the feet are going to be a little bit weaker because obviously they're small areas, and when you come to finish this off and carve it, you want to make sure that you've got enough strength in there for it not to snap or to break. Now I learned that in the chopping board I needed to use steel, but in this one it would be a copper wire because that will be enough to give it its strength. Push that down, but not right down at this stage. Arm one, I'm going to put 2 in because I think that's going to be the weakest point. That's about halfway down. And now I'm going to finish off and fill that up to the top. And cover up all those wire pieces. And then I'm going to mix up. I'm going to mix up some more to do the mould with, the base with, because I didn't mix enough up. You get about a good 10 minutes of work time with this. Scrape all that across so it's nice and level. Then I drop it a couple of times to release any trap bubbles and to level it all out. And now I'll sprinkle a bit of glitter over the top of that. And then I'll drop it again. And I'll leave that for probably a couple of hours before I take it out of there. I've mixed all this up exactly the same way, apart from the fact that I put the stones in there that I showed you earlier. And I'm mixing all that. I've put some glitter in there. I've also scattered some glitter on the bottom of this mould here. And that should stay nicely because that's going to be the face of this. So once this is all mixed up with your stones and everything, then you can just put this into your mould. I'm going to show you how to get a nice flat surface on this. So tap that down because you want to get as much air out of that as possible. Now I don't need to put any glitter on the base of this because it's not going to be seen. And now to get that nice and smooth and level, all I'm doing is spraying quite a bit of water on there. And then giving it another tap, letting the air bubbles come out, and then letting that cure up. And once that's nice and hard, you'll see why I did all that. Well, this has all gone lovely and hard now, and it's ready to demould. So I will demould the plinth first. Oh, and look at that. That's come out great. Nice and shiny. A little bit of overpour all the way around, but that will just pull off like that. I love casting concrete in mould, and it really has come out nicely. You can see the two-toned effect in there, and the glitter has embedded in there really well. Now with this it's a little bit different because I need to pull this off its mat, and the only way of doing that is by pulling up this. So these are one-time uses, but it doesn't matter. Oh, actually I suppose that this one has come up well enough, but I could use it as... Oh no, it has ripped. And then all I need to do is take it off that board. I will reuse that board again. And then go round and break off any of these little overpoury bits. Now that's the shiny, more shiny side where we put some of the glitter down. And some of the glitter's picked up in that and certainly has in this side. But as we go round and do the bits and pieces that we need to do to it, the glitter will become more evident and there'll be a little bit of gleam and shine in there. Now this will be quite easy to sculpt out. And at this stage we don't need it to be too clean because we're going to clean it up in a minute with some of our tools. How I'm going to go around and do this is, I know that this leg is behind this skirt a little bit, so I need to take off some of this. And I will just use either my clay tools, but generally I'll do all the roughing out using a blade. Now it will carve quite well, and I'll go round it and round everything all off like this. Get rid of all the rough edges and make it look a little bit more realistic. Smoothing it all off and rounding all these edges off using my knife and carving into it like this. And now it will carve in quite well. And anywhere that I want to put detail in it, I can put some detail in it. See, look how much better that bit looks now than these bits. So it does work really easily to do that. And the more rounded you get it, the nicer it looks. I've finished sanding this off now and scraping it all down. And you can go over this if you want to a little bit more with finer sandpaper and get a really smooth finish. But I actually quite like it like this. And now it's time to mount this onto here. And I'm going to mount it centrally as possible, like that. So it looks like she's running. How I'm going to do that is with my little hand drill, a little piece of coat hanger that I've got left over, and then drill a hole in the foot. Now the reason I'm using my hand drill is because I don't want to risk using my Dremel because I may break the foot off. I shouldn't, but I know how heavy-handed I am. And that coat hanger then, that bit end there, should fit in there nicely to be able to support it. I'll also be drilling an equal hole into this base here once I find the centre of it, and then I'll show you how I'm going to glue it all together. Well, I've cut my little bit of metal now, and I'm not sure if that's picking it up. There we go. So that's the right length, and I've also gone through and nipped in some little grooves all the way through that, because that way it gives the glue something to onto. And because cement is porous, what I've found is the best glue for this is white wood glue. So I've got a little bit of white wood glue there. What I shall do is roll around my little bit of metal like that, and then push that into the foot hole like that until it gets to the full depth, and then wipe off any excess glue. What I shall do is fill that hole with a little bit of wood glue. I found that hot glue or all-purpose glue just doesn't cut the mustard with these things. It seems to just suck into it and then sit on the surface, where this tends to go in and really give a good seal. So I know I've got plenty on there, and now I'm going to put a little bit onto this toe and the base of this foot. So there's some on there, and then on the base of this foot as well. Because we've only got a real small amount actually making contact. Then place that in there, right the way down, and then hold that in there tight. And then that will hold that into place there while that glues. And I'll leave that now just to seal up, glue, and then I can take the elastic band off, clean off this side, and then seal the whole thing. Well, this is all connected now and nice and solid on there. That isn't going to go anywhere. And putting the metal bit in there really just makes a massive difference. And now what I'm going to do is cover this with a couple of coats of satin clear varnish. And the reason I'm doing a couple of coats is because the first coat, because it is concrete and it's porous, will suck in quite a bit. I don't want it too glossy. I think the satin will really set it off. Well, there we go. That's all finished now. I'm really pleased with how that's come out. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think it's come out really sweet. It hasn't got too much of a shine on it either, and that's why I used the satin varnish on it. Please boop the like button if you've enjoyed this project, and it lets me know the sorts of projects that you like. It also helps my videos to get out there. If you'd like to know what products and things I used for this today, then I will leave a link for that in the description below, along with the link to buy me a coffee. Be sure to check out the videos that are coming up next. They're on other projects that I've made with cement. I made some beautiful pots. They're in my house at the moment. They look great. And I will be doing some videos coming up soon where I colour the cement. Take care, enjoy your crafting, bye.